everybody. Welcome to another episode of Milwaukee Beer Review. I'm Josh.
I'm Ross.
And we bring you our continued mission of reviewing craft beer in the Milwaukee marketplace. So today we've got some great new beer on tap for everyone in the community. We are doing our first review of a little brewery here in Milwaukee called MobCraft. So you want to give a little info about the brewery?
So the brewery was founded originally in 2011. It started off in Madison. And it's a very unique actual style of brewery because what they do is they do have some flagships, but for the most part their beer is crowdsourced. They ask for recipes to come in from their fans or their customers. They send those recipes in. People then vote on which recipe they'd like to see, and then whichever one wins is then sold at the brewery. So it's a very unique style. They actually appeared on Shark Tank way back in the day. They didn't get a deal, but kind of cool to see a local brewer start. They did move out of the Madison location. They're now located down in Walker's Point. And this is definitely a brewery that, for me, I love this place. It's one that I've definitely gone to quite often. It's actually one of the first places me and my now wife went on for a date. And because it's kind of a frequent spot for us, we were able to kind of ask them, and they worked with us to let us do engagement photos there, so that was really cool. We got to go in.
They turned out well.
Yeah, they really were, really well done. Wendy Schneider did our photos, so a little small plug for her. So they let us in before the brewery opened. We were able to use the whole place for our pictures and everything. It was really cool. So it's definitely I would say, though, is a polarizing brewery. I don't think, while I know it has a very, very strong and committed fan base, not everyone is as big of a fan, would you say?
Look, all our friends know that I have kind of this thing with MobCraft. Like, I love the concept. I love the ideas. I just haven't found that beer that I just really, really enjoy at MobCraft. So I guess maybe you could say I'm a little bit of a hater. But hate is not the right word. I would just say that I just haven't found something that brings me in the door.
And given their business model with the crowdsourcing of beer and the kind of the ever turnover of beer, that can be the case sometimes. It's so small a place with small batch breweries. If you're not a big fan of their flagship beers, and you don't have any of those crowdsources that you like, I think it's a fair assessment.
Yeah. So today, we're hoping to change Josh's mind and make Josh a fan. So we've got this brand new beer series from MobCraft called Padishah. We were looking up how to say this, let me tell you, because we did not want to say it wrong. So it is called Padishah. This is a series within the Imperial or Bourbon Barrel Aged or Cognac Barrel Aged or Port Wine Barrel Aged series.
Several barrel aged.
Taking these different stouts and kind of adding a little bit of a unique twist to them. So the first one we're starting with is actually the Bourbon Barrel Aged Imperial Stout. That is, they actually put it in Great Lakes Distillery's bourbon barrels. So Great Lakes Distillery is here in Milwaukee. So we're going to give that one a shot here first. 11% ABV, your traditional bourbon barrel aged stout, but from Great Lakes Distillery. So let's get this thing in the glass.
Let's get this open.
Padishah.
Not much head coming out right away. Nothing out of the ordinary from what you expect out of the style of beer. A little transparent, but overall looks like a stout.
Nice and dark. All right. Little nose on this beer. It smells really solid.
Yeah.
Traditional bourbon barrel aged Imperial Stout notes. I'm getting bourbon on the nose, chocolate, sweetness, a little vanilla, smoky aged flavor.
It kind of reminds me of the smell of the Black Friday, the lakefront. It's nothing. It's what you expect out of your bourbon barrel stout.
Yep. All right, let's give it a shot.
Cheers.
Cheers.
For as much bourbon as I'm smelling in that, I don't get a lot in the taste. I get a little more chocolate, a little bitterness, but for the most part, it tastes like a solid stout.
It's really smooth.
Yeah.
Yeah, not overpowering on the bourbon side. I get a little bit more bourbon on the front end of the beer, but it's not like a bourbon bite like you'd get in a super high ABV beer.
Yeah.
It's just smooth. The back end flavors really come through. We've got this at probably around 50 degrees. It's been sitting out for a bit while we've been waiting, and I think this is just solid. It's
very
exactly what I would expect. It'll be interesting to taste what we see next, from Heaven Hill.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll talk about that in a minute. But it'll be interesting to see how the difference in bourbon barrels, what impact that has on the flavor of the beer.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean,
what I do like with this is while the taste of bourbon isn't strong, that smell and that what you get on the nose of the bourbon is stronger. So it's very unique because you smell that, you expect that, and you don't get that. You get just nice, smooth, stout taste all the way through. A little chocolate, a little vanilla.
The experience is good. I'm actually getting a decent amount of vanilla on this, which is what I prefer in a bourbon barrel aged stout. Like, I want those vanilla characters to come through the beer. That's my thing, and this is solid.
Yeah, this is very good. This is a very good start.
Yeah, if I'm putting this in Untappd, I'm putting this at around a 4, quite honestly. Good job, MobCraft. I mean, I would drink this, especially for, I guess you could call it a lighter Imperial Bourbon Barrel Aged Stout at 11%. Not that that's light by any stretch of the imagination, but this is solid.
Yeah, I got it right about 4.25. I think it's very good. I think what I really like about this, to what you just said, it's one I can see myself ordering 2 or 3 after just the single one. I think it's very good. It doesn't feel heavy. It's not going to sit there and weigh me down or fill me up or anything. It's a very, very good beer. So
yeah, excellent.
So as Josh kind of alluded to, the next one we have is basically the exact same thing. The difference here, it's going to be Heaven Hill bourbon barrels instead of the Great Lakes Distillery. So Heaven Hill comes out of Louisville, Kentucky. So we'll see what it does. I expect very similar color, head, all that from the pour, but I wonder from a smell and a taste standpoint what we're going to get as a difference here.
Yeah, 11% ABV on this one too, so let's get it in the glass and give it a shot.
All right, let's get this open.
Padishah.
Padishah.
Number 2.
So yeah, we're not going to see much difference, I think, in the pours and the head here. I don't expect one to be more carbonated or darker color than the others. Oh.
Yeah, pretty dark.
Lightly carbonated.
Some head coming up.
Mm-hmm.
Solid stout.
All
right, get a little nose here on the Heaven Hill version. Very similar on the nose.
Yeah.
Like,
might be slightly more bourbon than I'm getting, but it's almost the same.
See, yeah. I would say what I was getting on the Great Lakes version was a little bit more toned down. This seems to be...
Yeah, it's amped up a little bit. If you actually take them back to back, you'll get that a little bit.
Yeah, other than that, same notes on the nose that we were getting from the previous beer. A little chocolate.
Yeah.
All right, let's give it a shot.
Cheers.
Cheers. Okay. There is a difference, at least that I'm tasting here. It's very similar. I'm getting more bourbon on this than I was getting on the previous beer. Less vanilla character.
For me, I'm getting bourbon up front, but I'll be honest, the taste dissipates. There's not much back end taste to it compared to the first one. I felt like the first one had much more vanilla, chocolatey all the way through. This one, for me, it gets the bourbon up front and not much on the back end.
The vanilla chocolate notes dissipate a lot quicker, I think, on this one than what I was getting from the Great Lakes aged version. This is still really, really solid. But I would say between the two, and being all things equal from a review perspective, I would prefer the first one, the Great Lakes version.
Completely agree. This is good. I'm enjoying it. I don't know if it's because how much I like the Great Lakes one prior to, but this one to me is just... It misses the mark a bit for me. It's good.
It's hard to say that, though, because they're so close. Like, they're not that different. I get where you're going with it, but they're just not that different to me. In fact, I like the bourbon character of the Heaven Hill a little bit more on the front, but as it dissipates out the back end of the beer, like, I'm not enjoying it as much at the end. So that would be my differentiator with these two.
Yeah.
I guess on Untappd, this one, just in comparing it to the other one. Now, if I had this on its own, I might boost it a little bit higher, but in comparison, I'm going to put this one at a 3.75. I think it's still a really, really good beer, and I love my bourbon barrel-aged Imperial Stout, so I got to give it that. I think this is still good.
I think, unfortunately, this one kind of falls short based on the comparison we just had. If I had this by itself, I might have a different opinion, but because I had the Great Lakes one first, which I'm really, really enjoying, not just as bad, I'm going to agree with you on the 3.75, so I'm about a half point lower on this one versus the one we just had.
Not to go extreme on this, but I've had other beers that are aged in Heaven Hill barrels, and I think Heaven Hill is a great bourbon. But every time I get a beer that's aged in Heaven Hill barrels, there's just a little bit of like almost like a musty tone to the bourbon to me inside the bourbon barrel aging. I think that the beer pulls, and it's just a little bit weird. And I do get that with this in comparison to the Great Lakes. Like, I don't know if you taste that, but
I'm not getting that. I mean, I'm not getting that, but for me, I mean, it's a good bourbon taste. I want more through the whole beer. I just feel like it falls short after the bourbon up front.
Yeah.
So
Fair enough.
all right.
Last but not least, our third one in the first video of this series. There are 6, so more to come. But this is the Padishah BBA Coffee. Padishah BBA Coffee. So this is 11% ABV, just like the first 2 that we reviewed. The difference here is they've aged this with Jamaican Fair Trade coffee. So we couldn't find an actual location for them. But this is coffee that is sourced from Jamaica. A coffee company here in the Midwest pulls it in. So it'll be very interesting to see what this adds. I don't know which barrels this was aged in, but it is a bourbon barrel-aged Imperial Stout. So let's get this thing in the glass.
Get this thing going.
Padishah.
Expecting similar look, similar carbonation.
Yep. Nothing crazy with these bourbon barrel-aged stouts.
No.
Good-looking beer.
Yep.
All right. Little nose on the coffee variant. Oh, yeah.
Ooh.
Boom.
It's got...
I think there's coffee in this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like a spice. That's a heavy coffee smell.
I'm not getting spice, but the coffee is... as expected, the coffee is just right there.
That's it. I get no bourbon. I just get coffee.
Yeah, I'm not even getting anything else past the coffee at this point. Like a little bit of sweetness from the Imperial Stout, maybe a little bit of vanilla, but for the most part, it's just coffee.
I'm just getting coffee. So.
All right, let's give it a shot, man. Coffee right on the front, as expected. You get that from the nose. You get it right on the front end of the beer. I just get a blast of coffee on the front end of this. It does linger, actually. It sticks through to the back end of the beer, too. So there's definitely coffee all the way through this.
That's basically, it's the only note I'm getting is coffee. A little vanilla at the end, but it's mainly just that coffee up front as it goes down. A little vanilla towards the back end. I'm not getting any bourbon. Personally.
Coffee, I'm not getting bourbon either. Coffee all the way through. Like I said, not a lot of bourbon on this. You do get some bitterness, I think, from the coffee. Mm-hmm. Like I'm feeling it actually in the back of my throat. There's a little bit of bitterness in this. But I love coffee in my stouts. I'm a pretty big fan of this, quite frankly. Like, I like that. Like, I'm okay if the bourbon notes don't shine through on a coffee stout like this because the coffee's is the king. Yeah, I think when it comes to a beer like this.
This is very good. Coffee for me it's a hit or miss thing in my stouts. It has to be done correctly. I feel MobCraft did do a very good job with this one. This is one I would definitely consider a better coffee stout for me. I do like. I wish there's a little more vanilla in there. Basically, like creamier coffee, but otherwise, I do like the coffee taste. It's solid. I know you're not getting it. I'm still getting that spice, weird smell, but I'm not getting it when I taste it at all. I don't get that, so it must just be the coffee.
Yeah. Untappd, my personal preference. This is the best one out of the 3. I'm going to put this at 4.25. I'd love to find out what they used for bourbon barrels on this. So MobCraft, if you're listening, let us know. I'd love to find out. Just my guess, I would assume with the little bit of bourbon that I'm tasting on this, it's the Great Lakes, but I'd love to hear. But otherwise, I'm putting this at a 4.25 on Untappd.
I got about a 4. So for me, it's right in the middle between the two. It's very good. And again, it kind of falls short based on comparison because I really enjoyed the first one. The Great Lakes bourbon was fantastic. This being makes more of a unique flavor compared to what we've had so far. Very good. I think MobCraft did a very good job with the 3 of these. I think they're very good. It's a good start. I'm excited for part 2 of this. So if you do want to find these, you can actually currently buy a 6-pack, a mixed 6-pack of these 3 with the other 3 that we'll do in video 2 at mobcraft.com.
Yeah, 1 12-ounce can of each.
Yep. You can pick them up at the brewery right now. So there are some still available as we speak. They also do have the single variants available as well, but it is a limited time only, so make sure you get on it.
Yep. Yeah, so as always, check us out on Untappd, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Like, comment, subscribe here on YouTube. If you've had these beers, we'd love to hear from you. Let us know. If you've got thoughts for other videos you'd like to see or other beers or breweries in the market that you'd like to see us do, let us know in the comments. So, as always, appreciate everyone's time. More coming. Stick around for part 2, and we'll see you on the flip side.
Thanks, everyone.
Have a good one.
Bye. Padishah.
Keep going.
Padishah.
You already fucked it up.
No, it's like Padishah. Padishah. Padishah.
Yeah. It's like the Punisher if you were saying it with like a weird accent. Padishah.